Okay, we're looking at LSAT 40. This is June of 2003, Logic Game 4. For a behavioral study, a researcher will select exactly 6 individual animals from among 3 monkeys, F, G, and H. So monkeys are F, G, and H. 3 pandas, which are K, L, and N. And 3 raccoons, which are T, V, and Z. The selection of animals for the study must meet the following conditions. All right, so I'm trying to intellectually separate these. This is lowercase, this is uppercase, and this has a circle around it. If I can't adhere to that, I'd like to. I'll see if I can do that. If I can't, I just have to keep referring back. But, an average test taker should be able to do 2 of these. 3 is admittedly a bit of a difficult challenge, and I'm going to try it right here for my viewing audience to see if I can actually do that. All right. The selection of the animals for the study must meet the following conditions. F and H cannot go together. N and T are not both selected. If H is selected, then K is selected, and if K is not selected, then H is not selected. And if K is selected, then N is selected. And if N is not selected, then K is not selected. Okay, so that's what we got to work with. We know that we've got 6 in the N group and 3 in the not N group. It's not a pure sequence game because we're given, some exclusion rules. We're also told how many people can be in the group, and we're given conditional statements or fourth order rules, as I call them. What we want to worry about in this logic game is who's in the not in group. There's only 3 of them. If we can figure out which 3 they are, then we'll know what we're doing. So this is our not in group, okay? All right, and so let's just kind of see what can happen. I would work with the exclusion rules. F can't be with H and N can't be with T. So let me just kind of get this. If F can't be with H and N cannot be with T, okay? All right, so let's come down here. Let's look at this a little bit more. N and H and F, T. It could go like that. Now let's bring the T over here. Okay, with all of our exclusion rules, that's all that could happen. Now, there are 2 other things that could happen here. We can just flesh them out to see if they work, if we think about them. We could put, let's say, N and T out, both of them, just not even in the group at all, and an F, and we can at this point do something like this. Okay, and then an F and an H out with an N and the T in situation. Okay, and that's all that can happen. We have 6 scenarios that we've created. If we look at these, we have all of the not in groups filled up. So who's left over? We know that there's a V and a Z. Okay, and with these we know that there's a K and an L also. Okay, and then with this one, we're left with a G. All right, so let's just kind of take a look at what we could do here. If we have K, All right, if we have K, we know that we have to have N, so this one would never work. This one would fall out. If we have K, we have to have N. All right, and with this one, I need to kind of create that. If we have K, then we know that we have N. All right, and then we're at T. That's where we're at. Okay, now let's just kind of look at this. F can't go with H. We have both F and H, not N together. N can't go with T, that works. If we have an H, we don't have an H. If we have K, we have an N. This one would actually work, okay? So let's just take a look at the rest of these. If we have H, we know we have K, and if we have K, we know we have N. This H and N is out, so this one falls out altogether. Okay, let's look, if we come back to this one, if we have H, I'm going to work with my H again, we know that we have to have a K here. All right, that's a for sure thing. And is there anything else that we know? No. If we have H, we have K, we have N. Is there any other rules that we can work with? If we don't have N right here, then we cannot have K. All right, so K would fall out. So we're left with filling this in, and we know that this would be a V and a Z, and we're dealing with a G and an L, and that's okay. There's nothing against that one. And then if we look, there's nothing else we can do with any of these. We have an H and a T out, and that's not going to work, and an F and a T out, that's not going to work either. So we're just looking at what we're left with here, okay, is we're left, on this one, we're left with G, K and L, and V and Z. Okay, there is no inherent order that any of them go in. It does not matter where they go, and they can go in any shape, way, or form. Now let's look at this one. We have a G that we're missing. We have a K, we have an L that we're missing. And then we have a V and a Z that we're missing. Okay, and again, these can go in any shape, way, or form. All right, so what we're left with here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 scenarios. All right, this falls all the way out. And let me go ahead, I'm going to move this up just so we have some room to talk here. All right, so that's what we've got. We've got 4 scenarios, and then these variables can go however they want to go, and we are ready to answer the questions, okay? Which one of the following is an acceptable selection of animals for the study? Okay, well, this is just an exclusion thing. So we're going to go through, or an elimination game that we're playing. We know by rule 1 that F and H can't be together. If you look at B, F and H are together, so B falls out, okay? N and T can't be together, so if we look at rule 2, N and T are together, so that one falls out. And if we look at rule 3, if you have H, then you have to have K. That falls out. E falls out because if you have they have H and we don't have a K there. And then if we look at rule 4, if you have K, then you have to have N, and that's C. That falls out. We're left with answer choice D. All right, if we look at 19, if H and L are among the animals selected, all right, where can that happen? Okay, it can only happen right here. All right, so what I'll do, just so we can kind of know what's going on here, let's say I've got an L there. And I would probably come down here and work this if I was doing the real L side, but you know, I'm just here, I'm trying to show this to you, so it wouldn't hurt to just come right down here and then start working this question. But I'm going to do it up here. I can kind of erase, and it's easy for you guys to see if it's this high. So if H and L are among the ones selected, again, this is the only one, because if you look at all of my other ones, H is actually out. All right. Which one of the following could be true? F is selected, that can't be. T is selected, that cannot be. Z could be selected. I mean, I have 2 spaces. I have a Z here. There's no rule against Z being selected, so my answer to the question is C. Exactly one panda is selected. No, remember my capitals are pandas and I have 3 of them selected, so D and E automatically fall out. So I know that the answer to the question is C. Okay, let's look at 20. Each of the following is a pair of animals that could be selected together except. Could we have F and G? Sure. In scenario 1, we could use F and G together. Could we have H and K? Well, yeah, in scenario 2, H and K are placed. Could we have K and T? Well, T is out, except for here, and K is out. So on T, T, K, T, K and T could never be in together, so C is the answer to the question. Let's look at D, though. L and N, could we ever have that? Sure, I could have it here. And then let's look at T and V. Yeah, it could happen right there. So again, the answer to the question is C. Okay, if all 3 of the raccoons are selected, which one of the following must be true? All right, well, this is the only one where all 3 of the raccoons are selected. Okay, if you look here, there is at least 1 raccoon that's out. So we have, which one of the following must be true? K is selected. No, K is not selected. Okay, L is selected. Absolutely, L must be selected. And if you look at C, well, B is the answer to the question because L must be selected. But if you look at C, exactly 1 monkey is selected. Well, here our monkeys are lowercase and we have 2 of them selected. Our pandas are uppercase, and D says exactly 2 pandas are selected and we only have 1. Okay, and then E, all 3 monkeys are selected. We can't have that because one of them is not. So again, we know the answer to the question is B. 22. If T is selected, which one of the following is a pair of animals who must also be selected? Well, again, this is the only situation where T is selected. So let's take a look. F and G, absolutely. A is the answer to the question. All right. Now, let's just look at H, N, and K. And if you look at B, C, D, and E, they each have H, N, or K there, so they all fall out. The answer to the question is A, F and G. 23. The selection of animals must include, at most, 2 of each kind of animal. Well, if we look here, we have 3 of one kind of animal here, so that doesn't have to be true. If we look at B, at least 1 of each kind of animal. Okay? Well, let's just start here. We have all 3 types of animals here because we have, circular, an uppercase, and a lowercase. We have an uppercase, a lowercase, and a circular, so that's all 3 here. We have K and H here, okay? And the question becomes, could we, we need to have a circular in 3 spots. We only have 1 that could go in the not in, and we have 2 circulars. So no matter if we put a circular here, we'd have to put a circular there. So 2 would have to have that as well. And then let's look at the last one. We have an uppercase and we have a lowercase. We need a circular, and the same situation arises. We have 2 circulars. 1 circular could go here maximum. That's going to make 1 other have to go in. So we know for a fact B is the answer to the question. You do have to have at least 1 kind of animal. Let's look at C, at least 2 pandas. If you look at scenario 3, we only have 1 panda. Okay, so that doesn't have to be. Exactly 2 monkeys. Could we have F, G, and H all going, or just one of them going? Here we have 1 monkey going, so that doesn't have to be. And then exactly 2 raccoons. Well, we have 3 raccoons going in scenario 3, so we know that that doesn't have to be true either. Okay, so we know for a fact, we've gone through everything, we know that the answer to the question is B. All right, that concludes LSAT 40, June of 2003, Logic Game 4. Thank you.